ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Okay, so
Swamiji, I have a question on Akhandakara Vritti. Can I ask now or later?
ask.
Initially, when you thought that, the world gets resolved in your understanding, I always had this problem that where will the world go? Till now, it's becoming clear that the content is the same.
Yeah.
The subject-object relationship will remain functionally, but the world will be there, but it's resolved in your understanding. So, likewise, in Akhandakara Vritti, when you say that the mind gets resolved, I still cannot figure out, sometimes my mind throws this doubt that where will the mind, I know the mind will remain there, but that vritti will get resolved. So how it will be in my understanding, this keeps coming.
Okay, are you comfortable with the idea that any vritti is resolved?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Generally, we don't notice that because in our day-to-day functioning, one vritti goes and the next vritti comes on almost immediately. I am looking at each one of you. So one vritti goes, the other person's vritti comes in. Okay, Kiran goes, Sunita comes, Nanda Kishore comes. It's all like in a flow. So we don't notice the gap. But there is always a gap. There is always a gap. And that is where the vritti has been resolved. Like in deep sleep also the vritti is resolved. And where can the vritti be resolved? Into me alone. But in deep sleep, etc., there is an intervening ignorance. It is not just me. Into the ignorance that is there, which is also centered on me, the vritti is resolved. Now when it comes to Akhandakara vritti, that self-ignorance is gone and the vritti is resolved. After having, it is necessary for that vritti vyapti to be formed, because without that formation of that vritti vyapti, that ignorance won't go. So the moment that goes, vritti also goes, is resolved into what? Into me alone. Because all vrittis are born in me, resolved into me. All vrittis. But we don't catch it, we don't notice it because there is intervening ignorance.
And also because there is no phala vyapti.
Yeah. So that subject-object relationship is not possible. That is why we don't always get it. But it is a frozen moment of understanding. It's a dynamic frozen moment of understanding. Put it that way. That is true. Yeah. But then the class moves, therefore you also move. Vrittis, new vrittis come. Yeah. That's why sometimes when I say something, I give it a slight pause so that it can sink in. Not so long that your mind will start thinking of other things. Okay. Just enough for it to sink in. Like right now, that Akhandakara vritti, that phala vyapti is not possible nor necessary. That is why it's important to understand the Swata Siddha nature of the Atma. Both, it exists by itself and it is self-evident. I don't need a pramana to know it. That's very important. I know I'm going to have a tough lecture today evening with all the science students because they are so caught up on everything being established by observer. For them it will be very difficult to make that shift. Yeah. Hopefully they are not too conditioned. They're still seekers of the truth. Through science, but still seekers of the truth. Yeah. As long as that is there, they can get it. So, does that answer your question on Akhandakara Vritti?
Yes.
Yeah, you need to think on it a bit. Yeah.
I have to. I will. If there are any further
Shoot.
questions, I'll come back.
Anytime, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
See, this question will keep coming up, because as your understanding grows bigger, better, this will keep coming up. That's why that Mananam process has to be on all the time. Okay? By yourself and with the help of your fellow students. Now, fellow students difficult to meet nowadays in that condition, but on phone call, Zoom, etc., few of you can always meet, and with me one-on-one, or like this in the class. Any question answer is part of Mananam. Yeah. Okay.
Swamiji, as a follow-on question.
Yeah.
So, for a jnani who is, well established in the knowledge,
Yeah.
because this is an aparoksha jnanam,
Yeah.
and we say it is direct, does
Yeah.
it mean that the jnani's knowledge of their own true nature is independent of any thoughts at all? It is, when you say it's directly evident, is it?
It's directly evident, yes. See, it started with the necessity of a pramana. Like all of us. When we start studying, you need a pramana. Once you have gained that knowledge, like you don't need to be explained that this is a pen repeatedly. The moment you see it, you recognize it's a pen. Okay. Yeah, this is pen. Moment I bring it up, oh, this is Swamiji's example, pen. Clear. Why? Because directly evident. Similarly, the self is directly evident. No? And the knowledge of the self is also there. Previously, ignorance of the self was there. Therefore, you needed that explanation, etc., to make that ignorance go. And for you to understand. Now it is directly evident. So, when we study the higher texts like Vedanta, Paribhasha, etc., you will see how for the jnani it is pratyaksha jnanam. It's like pratyaksha jnanam, meaning aparoksha jnanam. Atmavare drashtavya, na? You have to see it. Yeah, I am seeing it as myself. Without subject-object relationship, I am seeing it. Yeah. Without a subject-object relationship, I am seeing it as me, I, all the time. And you also see the roles because you play roles in life. Yeah. So both.
Because in the pen example, you still have, in the pen example, you still have the mind, but in the case of a jnani recognizing the true nature, I guess that aspect is.
The mind is not necessary. Like how you know I am. Do you need a thought to say I am? To express it, you need a thought. But to know I am, you don't need a thought. To know your own self-existence. In fact, that's the most taken for granted because without a thought, it is there. And what is that I? Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Yeah, but the jnani is not always focusing on that. Because the human experience continues for the wise person also. So, because the human experience continues and you are living in this world, so that humanness and all that thing will continue. That will be in the foreground. The knowledge will be in the background.
Understood. Thank
Yeah.
you, sir.
Swamiji, just an extension for this discussion. Can I conclude that it is not an experience, but it is a recognition?
Yeah,
It is a recognition, right?
correct.
So, can we remain for a longer period of time in that recognition? Because vritti keeps on changing.
How long can you remain with the thought this is a pen?
Unless another thought comes.
Unless other thought comes. So this is called focusing, right?
Yes.
Okay. In Yoga Shastra, it is called dharana.
Yes.
Correct? In Yoga Shastra, it will be called dharana. focusing on it. So dharana will go into dhyanam, you are contemplating on it. So if you want to remain focused on the thought for a long time, that's what you have to do. That's what nididhyasanam is about. So that your mind can soak it up. And then you become at home with that knowledge. So do it. That's called nididhyasanam. You're focusing on that knowledge and remaining there in that knowledge. But sometimes it goes. Then you bring in another word. Focus on that. Okay. You can remain as long as you want. You can remain as long as you want. Or should I say, as long as you can. Not necessarily as long as you want, as long as you can. Because however long you remain in it, you can't remain in samadhi all the time. Your prarabdha will pull you out of it. Why? You have a certain prarabdha to undergo. And that to get that prarabdha, you need interaction with the world. Prarabdha is all about interaction with the world. So that interaction has to go on. So for that interaction to go on, you can't be sitting in samadhi.
But that thought will pull me. That thought will pull me from that.
You don't have to pull. Prarabdha will pull you out. Like even if you don't keep an alarm, Sunday morning, you said classes at 11 o'clock, यार आराम से उठेगा 8-9 बजे बहुत हो गया ना 9 o'clock 10 o'clock also you can get up, have your breakfast and all and sit in the class. Who's going to know whether you had a bath or not? And I don't bother, I only want you to be fresh and alert. If that is there, fine. So I'll have my breakfast, have 2 cups of coffee. I'll sleep up to 10 o'clock today. But by 7:38 you are awake. Arey, it's only 7:30. और 1 घंटे कम से कम. You are not getting sleep that day. Why? Life is waiting. Get up. Your prarabdha is waiting. Even if you try to sleep, you will toss and turn for half an hour. After that, you will get fed up and get up. Yeah, you will get fed up and get up. Prarabdha. And some days you will struggle to get up. Why? Because you have prarabdha to be there longer. But you, in your mind, you have a plan to do things. Yeah. So, this will always be there.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Swamiji, just one more question. The knowledge will be synced in it, or the understanding is so that whether the vritti happens or not, independent of that, one knows that I'm
The vritti has to happen at least once.
okay.
Yeah, otherwise how will the ignorance go? Khandakara vritti. Thereafter, yes. You don't have to keep on repeating the vritti. Yeah.
Thereafter, so the knowledge has to be so synced in, or one has to be.
Yeah,
so
but how will you sink in that knowledge?
By Shravanam, Mananam.
And Nididhyasanam. So Nididhyasanam, what are you doing? When you are listening again to the unfoldment, the vritti is happening. See, very often what happens among us is, our awareness of what is happening in the mind is not much. Our awareness of what is happening in our bodies is also not much. I'll show you a simple example. Your palm, all of you, just focus on the center of the palm. It's okay, you can keep your palm below if you want to. Just pay attention to the center. You are not doing anything. I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm just saying pay attention there. Do you feel some sensation there? Is it a throbbing sensation? Is it anything else? Do you feel a sensation? Just pay attention. Keep paying attention. Doesn't matter what the sensation is, just pay attention to that. Do you all feel anything? Some sensation.
Yes, Swamiji, the intensity increases with time.
Whatever it is. Now, the sensation is always there. Because you are not doing anything. Are you doing anything right now to create that sensation? Now, if I had said, focus on your breath, breathe in, feel the thing opening up. If I had said all that, you are visualizing something, you are breathing, you are doing something. Here, I didn't say anything. I just said, watch that place. And you felt a sensation. Now, the sensation is always there. And if the sensation is always there, how come you are not feeling it always? You are not feeling it always, no? It's always there. But you are not feeling it always. You are feeling it only when you are aware of that area. Similarly, there are huge amount of sensations all over the body. This is part of your Vipassana meditation. They make you pay attention to all over, etc. And they have their own interpretation of what different sensations are. That's okay. I'm not concerned about that. I'm saying your awareness. Because we can't afford to be always aware of what's happening in our body. Can we? We have to deal with the world also, no? We have to deal with people, we have to deal with so many things. And these, let it happen. It is not under your conscious control. You don't want to bring it under your conscious control. So let it happen. So you tend to ignore it. Similarly, there are a lot of things happening in your mind also which you tend to ignore. Certain things is better not to ignore in the mind. Now, if you are paying attention to the teaching, especially when an unfolding is happening, and something regarding the Atma is explained and we are unfolding it, and you are paying attention, Akhandakara Vritti will happen. Akhandakara Vritti will happen. But you may not be aware it is happening. You will just, at the end of it, you will say, today was a good class. Why was it a good class today? Chamka udhar, you know. Yeah. Certain understanding took place. Yeah. If it was about unfolding, then the Akhandakara Vritti took place. It need not take place also. If I am distracted in between somewhere, some maid calls me for something, you know, someone comes and asks me whether I want a cup of coffee, and things like that. So I may not always be aware also. I may be distracted by something. Or I may be distracted by something internal, you know. Yeah. By something internal also I may be distracted by. Arey yaar, hope Swamiji gets on to the verses fast. I have a lot of things to do after the class. Don't worry, whether I start with the verses, don't start. I don't push it beyond 12:30 anyway. You all know that. So, internally you can be disturbed, externally you can be disturbed, both can happen. And because of that, sometimes you miss it. That's why samadhanam, etc. is one of the values where your mind will remain where you have kept it. Samadhiyate manaha. You kept the mind here, it will remain there. Yeah. Nothing is a distraction. Unless there is a lot of racket, then there is a different thing. Then you can't hear clearly. A distraction is in that sense. Yeah. So it's happening all the time. Yeah. Because the traditional teaching is such, even if the student is not fully prepared, and nobody comes to Vedanta 100% prepared, the traditional teaching will still ensure that some insight happens. Owning up will take time, but that insight will be there. That's the strength of the traditional teaching. Especially if the traditional teaching is geared to the audience in front. It'll happen. Okay, shall we go ahead then? Any questions? Clarify. Because before I start other texts, I want all these doubts to be cleared off. Only then I can go to the next level of understanding. Okay. Okay, then let's start.
Sir, one question I have.
Yeah, Sashi, bolo.
In 71 verse, in the translation, it is written, it should be known as described in the Shruti, unknown knower. Unknown knower, are they not contradictory?
Yeah, that's what I was explaining last time. That you are the knower is clear to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Who is the content of the knower?
Little known, little unknown.
Forget what is written there. Dip into your understanding. Okay? Turn on your video, that will help you and me both. Yeah. Go to the bottom of your pad and there will be a video of this thing. Turn it, touch the screen, you will get the video of this, turn it on.
मेरा close all आ जाता है. Not very good at it, but trying.
Don't keep saying you are not very good at it, then you will never get good at it.
Okay.
Don't argue for your weakness, you are making it yours.
Okay.
There you are. See? Now I can see that bright face. Okay. Now look at it. Dip into your understanding and say, what is the knower based on?
Pramana.
Now you are trying to give me the right answers. Look into your mind. Are you the knower of this pen I am holding in my hand?
Yes.
You are the knower. Okay? No. Correct? Who's the knower? You. What is the I?
Satyam Jnanam Anantam.
Very good. Now tell me, is that Satyam Jnanam Anantam something to be objectified as the pen is objectified?
No.
Therefore, from the standpoint of the fact, it cannot be objectified, it is called unknown. From the standpoint, she's writing it down, from the standpoint of the fact that you cannot objectify the awareness, the knower, you are calling it unknown. The Shruti is calling it unknown. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Therefore, there is no real contradiction, there is an apparent contradiction. Okay? So, we saw 72 also last time? Or we didn't see 72? No. 71 we stopped because that's where the whole question of Akhanda, Akara, Vritti, etc. came in. Yeah. All right. So, shall we go ahead then?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hope it is all clear to everyone. Okay. All right. Sarvasya ahameveti brahmached viditam param sa atma sarvabhutanam atma yesha esham iti shrutehe atma iti esham iti shrutehe sa atma sarvabhutanam atma. That atma is Sarva Bhutanam Atma. Okay, that Atma, which is Brahman, is Sarva Bhutanam Atma. Esha Shruti. This is the Shruti. And Sarvasya Atma Ahameveti Brahma Ched Viditam Param. And if I become a Brahmavid, I know I am Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman, then what will I become? Or what am I? Not become, what am I? Sarvasyatma. Look at it. First he says, Brahman is the Atma for everyone. There is only one Brahman, Satyam Jnanam Anantam, which is everyone, the Atma of everyone. And you know Brahman. How do you know Brahman? Aham Brahmasmi iti. I am Brahman. You can't say this is Brahman. Remember, unknown. No subject-object relationship. So you can't say this is Brahman. You only have to say I am Brahman. That's why I kept doing this Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman in various places, camps, this, that, everything. Why? Because that's the most important, very important. Thus. And where do I come in the picture for Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman? Which word brings in the I?
Jnanam.
Jnanam, yes. Because I am the only source of awareness. Knowledge only, I am the source of it. Therefore, Jnanam. Therefore, in understanding Satyam Jnanam Anantam, I cannot leave myself out of the picture. Therefore, if I am understanding Brahman as Satyam Jnanam Anantam, the understanding culminates in me being Satyam Jnanam Anantam. That means what? I am the Atma that is there in everyone. And everyone can say it. Why? Because there is only one Atma. More than 1 billion personalities in India alone. 101.3 billion personalities in India. That's the whole population of USA and Europe put together. More than that. And we have to vaccinate this whole population by December. Whole of USA and whole of Europe and UK. Okay. We have to vaccinate all of them. And people are criticizing that we are not vaccinating enough. Yeah, we are not vaccinating enough, correct? But how many can you vaccinate? This is the target in front of us. So 1.3 billion personalities all over India. How many Atma? One. About 5-6 billion personalities all over the globe. 5 billion personalities all over the globe. One Atma. Don't ask me how many jivas if you take the whole 14 dimensions. 14 dimensions. We are talking of one dimension and there are also one earth in this dimension. Okay. 5 billion. Is one earth in this physical dimension. We don't know how many other earths are there. And how many life forms are there. You don't know. And so in this vast expanse, I am the only Atma that is there. The beauty is each one can say that I am the only Atma that is there. So only when you understand this, your knowledge is complete. To say I am Atma is no big deal. That's like saying I have a soul. What's the big deal about it? Little better. You have a soul, I have 4. 2 soles of the hand, 2 soles of the feet. 4 souls. Yeah. So that is no big deal. No, Swamiji, I am Atma, which is awareness. So that limitlessness part has to be clear. Otherwise, there will be one pocket of awareness here, another pocket of awareness there. So finitude will continue. That is not Vedanta, that is Sankhya. Many Purushas, many Jivas. That is Sankhya Sutras. If you are looking at it as Vedanta, then there is only one Atma. Only one consciousness, that is the limitlessness. Therefore, what has to be clear is limitlessness. That's why we bring in the idea of Ishvara. Jagat Karanam Brahman. The idea of Ishvara is brought in. So that you have an understanding of one totality. And really speaking, whether you know it or not, you are seeking that connectedness and that totality. Look at it. Let us say you are a student of, or your background is liberal arts. It has got nothing to do with science. Liberal arts is your background. Okay? Don't ask me what it is, okay? It can include a lot of stuff. Okay. Now, this person who is into liberal arts, okay, reads a newspaper item about the string theory and how all of us are connected because of the string theory. Now, the person doesn't understand anything about string theory. Science is not there in that person's curriculum at all. You have an option liberal arts in some places to take science, but this guy avoided. In fact, he took liberal arts to avoid science. To avoid science and mathematics, he avoided it. But he feels happy here seeing that. That we are all this thing. Why does he feel happy? He has not understood a clue. He doesn't have a clue of what is happening. That article, which is a newspaper article meant for the layman, half of it he has not understood. But he feels happy. You know why? We are all connected. It's all one total, one thing. All these theories come from your need for that connectedness and totality. That oneness that is hidden in your heart, that desire for moksha comes up like this. When you hear like that, you are happy. Even though you tell the liberal arts guy, there is something called Vedanta that will give you moksha, this connected, he doesn't want to touch it. Liberal arts, remember? He doesn't want to touch it. But in liberal arts, they have an exposure of philosophy. Yeah, they have. But it's like various things, various patterns of thought. Therefore, he dismisses it as various thought patterns. And then says, what is your thought pattern? That is what is valid for you. So, yeah, that's what is valid for me, my thought pattern. That's why I encourage all liberal arts people to study some science. Either as part of the course or later on. There are a lot of science books written for laymen. Read it. It's important. It's important. Otherwise, you will get this very pseudo attitude to life, which is not healthy. And the scientists, I encourage them to read some liberal arts, some philosophies, etc., to open up his mind to other things besides experimentation and verification, experimentation and verification. And to understand something, he has to take it apart. Exactly like how a child does. Give him a toy, he'll take it apart because he wants to know what it is. Anyway, all that apart, so that need for totality. And that is why Vedanta is complete only when you see this part of it, that I am everything. That limitless nature of the self should be clear. If the limitless nature of the self is not clear, okay, you only have partial understanding of Vedanta. Your understanding of Vedanta is very limited. Yeah, highly limited. Yeah, highly limited. That's why he says here that sarvasya aham eva atma. सर्वस्य आत्मा अहमेवेति ब्रह्म चेद विदितं परम ब्रह्म चेद विदितं परम param brahma cha viditam. Why is he putting param brahma? Because Brahman is also presented as Jagat Karanam Brahma. So if you take it as Jagat Karanam Brahman, then you will take it as Ishvara's order, which is important to understand. For your functional life or Karma Yoga, etc., Ishvara's order is very, very important. But understand the Swarupa of Ishvara also as Param Brahma, Satya Jnanam Anantam iti. And if you understand that, Aham eva iti, Aham Brahmasmi iti. See, you can understand the order, Ishvara's order, and take yourself as part of the order. Then the relationship will be part and whole. If you take Ishvara as sitting down somewhere, then it's pure duality. Whether the thought has come eastern or western, there are inner local thoughts also like that. Ishvara is in some dimension. Okay. Obviously that dimension is not here. You can't look at the world around you, especially today with all the viruses, this, that, etc., and say this is heaven. Nobody can say that. Or this is Kailasa, this is Vaikuntha, this is Golok, Vrindavan. You can't say all that thing. So, fine. That is pure duality. Which is okay. That is the kindergarten class of spirituality. Okay. That's the kindergarten class. It's all right. Then when you understand Ishvara as the cosmic order, for that you have to understand Ishvara as Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam. Once you understand that, then you will take Ishvara as a whole cosmic order. Everything is Ishvara. And you are part of the whole thing. But that part-whole relationship will continue. Until you understand Param Brahma as pure Satyam Jnanam Anantam, as pure consciousness, then Lord and I are one and the same. I am that Param Brahman. And if I am Param Brahman, Sarvasya Atma Ahameva Asmi. You will echo Krishna's thought. Somewhere in the Gita he has said that, no? 13th chapter, I think. Anyone remembers what he has said? Kshetrajnam chapi mam viddhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. I am the Kshetrajnaha, the knower in every kshetra, in every body. Yeah. This body kshetra. In south, a temple is also called kshetra. You know why? Because a temple construction is exactly like your body. The feet is the entrance. Imagine the Lord lying down. The feet is the entrance. You enter from the feet. Main entrance, okay? Now a temple can have many gopurams. North, south, east, west. But after that, when you are entering into the temple proper, from the gopurams you enter into the outer compound. When you are entering the temple, entrance is the feet. The head will be where the main deity is. And then in each place there will be. So the head, the heart, all that. So it's like a kshetra. That's why it's called kshetram. Because idam shariram kaunteya kshetram iti abhidiyate. The shariram is kshetra. Anyway, that's a sidelight. Therefore, you can echo Krishna and say the same thing. Okay. Why? Because you are speaking from the standpoint of Brahman, pure consciousness. Krishna is talking from the standpoint of Ishvara. You cannot take Ishvara's standpoint and talk. You will have to take Brahman and talk. Okay. Yeah. Though you are equated to Ishvara in Tattvamasi, etc., in Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman, etc., you are equated, but in your understanding it resolves into pure consciousness. We have seen all that Mahavakya Vichara, what is to be retained, what is to be negated, etc. Remember? Bhagatyaga Lakshanam, all that we remember. Those of you who have forgotten it, those cassettes are up in the YouTube. It is there. In our channel, those cassettes are up. Mahavakya Vichara channel, some 6 cassettes are there, 6-7 cassettes are there. Please check up that. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Iti Esham iti Shrute. Okay. Now the Shruti quoted is Brihadaranyaka, etc. And he always quotes the Shruti. Even Shankara, the commentator on the Shruti, quotes the Shruti. Why? Because the final pramana is the Shruti. This is not a cult saying this is what I am telling you. I don't need the Shastra. I will just close my eyes, I will know what I know and I will speak. That becomes a cult. Yeah. There's a danger. He may be a wise person who's saying this, but then it will degenerate into a cult after some time. Like I know an organization where there is a grammatical mistake, but even that they don't want to correct. A spelling mistake in what the original manuscript. You think a teacher cannot make a spelling mistake or what? You look into my manuscript, I'll always make spelling mistakes. I think I am mildly dyslexic. An A and an I and a U coming together, I always mix up. Especially A, E, I. I will always mix it up. I may have been mildly dyslexic, I think. Even continuing. Why? Because I have not got myself tested and I still make those mistakes. So a teacher can make a mistake like that. But they won't correct it. Why? Guru Vakyam. So it will degenerate into a cult then. That's why even Shankara, even though he is worshipped in this country and temples have been put up to Shankara, he will quote the Shruti. Why? Pramana is the Shruti. Pramanam Gurunam Guruhu. Okay. The Shastra Pramana is the Guru of Gurus also. Yeah. Therefore the Shastra is quoted. Okay. Okay. Now he is giving you a Falashruti here. Okay. It's an Arthavada. The next verse is an Arthavada. You all remember what an Arthavada is? Sometimes I have to ask questions like that to ensure that you all have everything with you.
Yes,
Exaggeration.
Yeah, what is Arthavada?
Exaggeration.
Praise, exaggeration, praise, exaggeration, stories to illustrate a point. So even if a joke is said to illustrate a point, or a story is mentioned to illustrate a point, it implies Arthavada. Okay? So anything used to illustrate a point which is not in the main flow. Like sometimes I tell a story. What is it meant for? Not for time pass. We have limited time in the class, but to illustrate a point or praise, criticism, etc. All to illustrate a point. That's called Arthavada. Now look at what he's saying in the next verse. Jivaschet paramatmanam swatmanam devamanjasah devopasasya se devanam pashutvachat nivartate. Jivaschet paramatmanam. If you have understood that Jiva is nothing but Paramatma, then what? Swatmanam devamanjasa. Then you become adorable by the gods themselves. By the gods themselves, meaning by the beings in heaven, you become adorable. Why? They are going to heaven, they still have to gain that knowledge. The Karma Devas like Indra, Yama, etc., they know the truth. That's different. But the others don't. Therefore, you become worshipped by them also. Devopasasate devanam pashuttacha nivartate. Previously, you are a Deva Upasakaha. Deva Upasaka meaning someone who is worshipping the gods. So what? Why do you worship the gods? Why do you worship?
Gain something. To gain something.
So always to gain something. Or to avoid something painful, isn't it? Tell me all your worship. Any worship that you do. I saw a post somewhere. Indians always bargain with their gods. We have a very commercial attitude towards God. Tell me which religion doesn't have it? Which religion doesn't have it? Religion is meant for human beings. In all religions there are prayers. Oh God, give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that. And in some religions you pray to prophets and saints and things like that, so that they will intercede with God to give you what you want. Nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. It's human. What is wrong in it? I don't think anything wrong in it. It's human. But don't criticize one religion. Other religions are the same. You're always asking for something, na? The highest you can ask for is what? Moksha. Which is in bhakti language they will say, I want you and nothing else. I don't want moksha also, I only want you. There are verses like that available. Verses like that available. But what does it show? You always want something or the other. Because without that, you are an unhappy human being. See, the need comes from there. If you need something for some practical thing, it is a different thing. Like this kid comes up to me. I went for a walk, I am passing the temple. साहब भूख लग रहा है, थोड़ा पैसा दे दो ना. I said, क्या खाएगा? साहब लॉकडाउन है, क्या मिलेगा? वो केला वाला है, केला मिलेगा. So I saw another kid sitting down there. I said, उसको भी दे देगा? साहब वो तो मेरा भाई है. वो तो मेरा भाई है. They are not real brothers. तो भाई है, जरूर देगा ना उसको. हम साथ साथ खाते हैं सब कुछ. Now this is not a desire. But that kid, he doesn't have that desire. He just wants to survive. He is hungry here. He is hungry. He wants to survive. That is not what I call a desire. That is just need. He has not come to the desire stage yet. Desire stage will come only after your survival is guaranteed. When you are in the hospital with COVID, on an oxygen, are you going to make plans for buying a new house? 3-bedroom house and 4-bedroom house, and are you going to make plans for that, or are you thinking of survival? Yeah. So, a desire is, because of a desire you have basic thing, you want more. Dil mange more always. So that is a desire. So your desires are common, your prayers are for desires. Then out of your maturity you came to Vedanta and understood Brahmaham eva asmi. Then tell me, what desire is there for you to become complete? Yeah, you will have a simple, the whole desire will become like a desire for a cup of tea. अरे यार सुबह उठा है, एक चाय मिलेगा तो अच्छा है. So those are And what Pujya Swamiji used to always call as non-binding desires. Yeah. Therefore, you are free from the burden of praying for things. If you are praying, oh Lord, give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that. We have special meditations for it. Saturn is in retrograde. So now you have to do these prayers to get what you want. I think today it is moving into retrograde motion. 20th, not today, today. Guru is already in retrograde. So let us use these. ठीक है यार, रहने देना. Shani Guru, my salutations, okay? You do your job. I am happy as I am. You are free from that burden of praying for things. Why? Because you are free from the burden of desire. For the sake of happiness, you don't have the desire. You are already Ananda. The wise person will still pray. For whom? Loka Kalyanam. Or if he has a project to do, why will a wise person have a project? Tell me. Why will a wise person have a project? To help people, otherwise what? Not for himself. What project do you have for yourself? No, but that wise person is working very hard to put up an ashram. Yes, true. For what? For self-knowledge? Self-knowledge is already gained. Problem नहीं है. Mukto हम. Then why do you need an ashram? You don't. Why do you need? You don't need. किसके लिए? But Swamiji, you listed it as a project in your website also. Yes. To create teachers for the future. To create a safe area where people can come and study for themselves. Intense studying. And some of them will become teachers in the future for the future generations. So the parampara will go on. Not for yourself. In fact, it's a big headache. You all feel it's a headache to look after 2 kids at home. Imagine having 50 students in an ashram. Oh my God. When Swamiji came for the first course in Bombay, he was barely 40. All jet black hair and beard and everything. By the time he did both our courses, he had lot of white hair. So we used to joke with Swamiji, Swamiji, we are responsible for your grey hair. Luckily for me, I don't have black hair now, okay? So I won't blame you all. So, therefore he says, that's what he's saying here, okay? Devo upasyasa devanam pashuttacha nivartate. The need to pray to the Lords to get something is gone. You are no more, he says, pashuvat. You are no more pashuvat. That's a very interesting example. The Dharma Shastra says, like how a beast of burden, a pashu, a beast of burden, like a bullock or a horse, is to human beings, we are to the gods. The horse can roam free, but we have tamed it. It is no more capable of surviving in the wild. It has to serve us, the humans, to get its food and shelter. It can't survive in the wild anymore. So the donkey carries a load of burden for us. Similarly, we are dependent on the gods. Oh God, give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that, give me this. All the time. I mean, it's all bhakti, it's good. Udaraha sarve evete in the Gita. Remember artharthi, jignasu, jnani. So udara, all of them are fine, nothing wrong. But what do you want to be? Do you want, Swami Chinmayanji used to ask this, do you want to be a beggar at the Lord's temple gate? The problem with human beings, they'll make a song out of that also. All religions have it. Bikari sari duniya, data ek Ram. Suna रहेगा ना ये भजन? Very famous one. I think Anup Jalota. Bikari sari duniya, all are beggars. Data ek Ram. क्या अच्छा लगा है. Why? Because again we feel a connectedness with all the beggarly souls around. Every religion something similar is there. Lord, I do not ask to see the distant shore. One step enough for me. कुछ ना कुछ तो हर में. Everything it is there. He says, from that you are freed. You don't have the burden of desires on you. Therefore, the burden of that type of worship is gone. Then what is your worship? Your worship is identity. Is a recognition of the identity. Yani tu atmeva me mataha. Therefore, what is your worship? Vangmayi puja. When you teach the identity, that itself is worship of the Lord. And the teacher and the one who knows the truth better focus on that, because that worship only he can do. Who else can do it? Other worships, there are a lot of other people who can do. Ityesha Vangmayi Puja Srimad Shankara Padayo. Vangmayi Puja. The teaching itself is a worship. Or kya hai? So you are not a beast of burden anymore, because you are not carrying the burden of desires. For the sake of happiness, you need nothing. You are already Ananda. Then out of Ananda, you can do a lot of things. Out of Ananda, you can do a lot of things, including prayer. Oh Lord, that poor guy is suffering. I would like him to be free from it. But what you will happen is your will. I will pray. I will add my prayers because my intention can be much stronger than his. The mind intent I use, even though my mind is not covered by desire, the intent of my mind can be the sankalpa of the mind. Mind intention is what sankalpa is much more powerful than that person's, because there is no ego interference. Therefore, fear, etc. is not undercutting that intent. Fear, desire, greed is not undercutting it. But there is no passionate longing. No, there is no passionate longing also. You don't need passionate longing to make your intent strong. You just have to have this strong. And your heart strong. Swamiji, but thinking is all in the brain, na? That is true. But there is a new discovery that is happening in science. What is that? There are 40,000 cells in the heart, 40,000 cells in the heart which mimic the brain cells, which are very similar to brain cells. 40,000. spread all over the heart that function as brain cells. This is the latest in science. Abhi kya hai? We already talked about the second gut as the flora and fauna in your intestines. Science is accepting that you have a second brain in your stomach, in your intestine, that is called your gut. Second brain. Now you are getting a third brain in your heart. I wouldn't be surprised if they find some of these functioning aspects in every cell in your body. Why? Because every cell in your body is intelligent. I'm not talking Vedanta, I'm talking science. It's intelligent. Every scientist will accept that there is cellular intelligence. So the whole idea of what is brain, what is this is changing, okay? So you don't need that passion and other thing to have that intent of strong this thing. Yeah. So this is the thing. You're free from the burden of this type of prayers. Yeah. No more Pashuvat. Yeah. Look at your, when you say Pashu, etc., you have to understand this in context. Look at your pet dog. Many of you have pet dogs, or at least have fed some dogs on the streets, if nothing else, creating problems for others. Anyway, that apart, okay? That apart, I don't want to go into that area. Can your pet dog was once upon a time capable of surviving in the wild? As a pack, he ruled the wild. Even bigger animals like the lion, etc., is afraid of a pack. What have you made him into? Your pet dog, who will respond to you. Why? Because you give him some food and some affection. Isn't it? Correct or not? And in your large-heartedness, you decided, no more. I will not insult my dog anymore. I will take him to the wild and leave him free. Poor guy will not survive 2 days. We human beings are like that. हाय इंसान के भट भक्ति, हाय अंदाज के बाहर, खुद खुदा होकर बंदा नजर आते हैं. Sahib used to quote this often. The bad lot of the human beings is beyond all understanding. Why? He is really speaking nothing but the Lord Himself as pure consciousness, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. But what is He saying? Hey Malik, tere bande ho hum. Oh Lord, give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that. क्या हालत हो गया. That is why there is a Sanskrit expression called, I have said this before in the class, I am reminding you, called Devanam Priyaha. Asti Rajaha, Nalo Namnaha, Ashoko Vidaha, Satyakamaha, Devanam Priyaha. These are all the qualifications. Asti Raja, there was a king called Nala in Raghuvamsha. Kalidasa writing. Okay. He is wearing all the paucity called Ashoko Vidaha, master of the horses. He could tame any wild horse like this. Chariot riding, everything. He could ride and fight simultaneously from the chariot. Ashoko Vidaha. Okay. Satyakamaha, always on the path of the truth, nothing else. And then he adds a gali also there. Devanam Priyaha. And the English translators who don't know the Sanskrit idiom will translate it as beloved of the gods. Devanam Priyaha. No? Priya is beloved. Devanam of the gods. Actually, it is a gali given. All the time praying, Lord, give me this, give me this, give me that, give me this. Yeah, Devanam Priya in Sanskrit is a left-handed compliment, okay? It's a left-handed compliment. Yeah. So when you come across that in your Sanskrit readings, because I know some of you are studying Sanskrit, remember it's an alankara. Don't take it seriously. Don't take it literally. Yeah. All right. Therefore, he says that burden you are free from once you know the truth. You are no more caught in that trap. Yeah. And even the gods who adore you, he says. Even Indra, Varuna, Agni, etc. All the Karma Devas in the heavens. Karma Devas are all Jiva who have reached that position on the basis of the Punya Karma in their, when they were living life after life as human beings, okay? Now Indra can be jealous or a little insecure about his post because he is a ruler. So if anyone keeps doing Ashwamedha, he will stop it. He will put an obstacle in the way. Why? Because someone does 100 Ashwamedhas, he can be replaced and this person can be made the Indra. But he is not afraid or insecure about someone knowing the truth. Why? Acha hai beta. Let him know the truth. Why? He will no more be a competitor with me. I had to come to heaven and then learn it from Uma, Haimavati. I had to go to Brahmaji to learn. Lot of seva I had to do, 32 years of seva before he moved from one question to another question. Because lifespan is different there. They have the whole kalpa with them. But here is a person who is knowing the truth. Wow, I knew it only after here. My desire brought me to heaven, etc. All these padavis, how much of things I did to get here. This guy is knowing the truth. Hats off to him. Why? As a human being itself, he is trying for the truth. He is not trying to come to heaven, etc. Wow, hats off. So you become adorable by the gods also. That's why when you seriously start studying Vedanta, some grace comes to you. Automatically it is there. Some grace will always come to you. And so a lot of problems also come. That is your prarabdha coming up. That is your prarabdha coming up. Yeah. Or in the form of obstacles. So this is it. Even the gods help you, he says. The gods stand for you. Then in somewhere else he says, then what about human beings? If the gods thinks you are something great, are you bothered about human beings after that? There was a time when the wise person was respected. To an extent, even today it is there. Why? I go for a walk in the morning and I am amazed at the number of people who greet me whom I don't know from Adam. Why? Just because of this dress. Just because of the dress. They don't know me. I mean, I've been staying in Chembur for a long time, so when I go for an early morning walk, it's all the locals only will be available. Na? They agree. Because of the dress, nothing else. They don't know me from Adam. Why do they greet me? Some respect is there. And a lot of places they don't have respect also. That's also fine. They look at you and say, Hindutva! Yeah, so what? If you can be a communist sympathizer, what is wrong in me being a Hindutva sympathizer? Tell me that. If you are supporting, you are a communist sympathizer. You are not a terrorist. You don't get involved in violence, etc. You are a sympathizer. So what's wrong in being me, being a Hindutva sympathizer? Not that I have political leadings. Yeah, I stand for Hinduism. Yes, because that is the culture that gave me this knowledge. But what is wrong? No, leftist is okay. This is wrong. So that is Kali Yuga happening. That is sheer Kali Yuga, nothing else. Yeah, that is the idiocy of people in Kali Yuga. Indians are a strange lot. We are the people who will work for our own downfall. We are the only civilization in the world where we are taught to run down our own civilization and praise the invaders and things like that. That's a side light, okay? I took off from the point of whether you will be respected or praised. Some will respect, some will criticize. This was there from times immemorial. When the rishis were there, the rakshasas were there. So there's always, this is the dynamic balance that keeps the society going. You will always find it. It doesn't matter to the wise person. Why should it? It should not matter to anyone. You like everyone you meet? No. So how can everyone you meet like you? Some people will think you're doing a great job. Some people think you're a superstitious idiot. Yeah, of course they will think. Yeah. This every student of Vedanta should know that. I'm sure those who are lay students have experienced some of it. Yeah. That's why sometimes you hesitate to say that you're going for a class like this in some circles that you are. Don't worry, I also hesitated once upon a time. Why? Because they won't be able to relate to you after that. Because their conditionings are strong. That is their conditionings. You can have some compassion for them. When I'm in a good mood, I think I'm compassionate to them. When I'm not in that good a mood, I'll think they're idiots. And I'm very comfortable with my moods. Any wise person will be comfortable with their moods, okay? Why? Because you're human. You're a wise person, no? That personhood is still there, no? So all emotion, thinking, etc. will be there. They won't hijack you. They don't rule you. You're free from that burden. You're free from the burden of emotions, but you have emotions. That's the beauty of it. You're free from the burden of thinking, but you can think clearly. You're free from the burden of action, but you can act decisively. In fact, I remember a couple of students telling me that, Swamiji, you sit aram se mastaram Baba hoke doing nothing, you know. And then suddenly you decide to do something and you're off like this. There was a big problem about that. So I used to joke with them, yeah, I'm like a python. Ajagara Vrata it is called, you know, the discipline of being a python. In among sadhus it is there. What? You seen a python after he's had his meal? Aram says lying down one place. Then when it has to catch a prey, suddenly he'll strike before you know it. I say, I'm joking, okay? Don't take it too seriously. But the idea is this, that this wise person is free from the burden of desires, therefore free from that type of prayers. But you have stories in this thing. The Rishi Vishwamitra, he did a yaga. He was doing yagas. What was he doing yagas for? Vishwamitra had every divine astra with him. And the mastery of every divine astra. You think he couldn't have tackled all the Rakshasas that were coming around? He wouldn't even need a bow and arrow. A blade of grass he will pick up and deliver it like an astra. The Rakshasas will be destroyed. One blade of grass. Enough to be the medium of destruction. This was Vishwamitra. But he walked into Ayodhya and demanded of the king, send me Rama and Lakshmana to protect my Yagashala. Why? Because he had to train Rama in the use of divine weapons. Because he had the job to do to go all the way to Sri Lanka to destroy all the Rakshasa capital. From where they were issuing out to destroy the peace of the people around. That job was there, na? Acha, theek hai. Let me train this guy up. So he did a lot of action. Yes. Did a lot. Because great though your training may be, you have to be vetted in battle. There's nothing like being vetted in battle. Yeah. One day of battle is worth a year of training. Okay? Yeah. Believe me, I've been on both sides. I know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So, a lot of actions he did. Not for himself. Because you don't have that need. You will take on projects, you will do things. Yeah. Of course, when you go, as when you start off, you have a lot of need, therefore you'll have a lot of worship. Along with other things. Then when you go to study Vedanta, also you'll have a lot of worship because your need is there. Once you have fulfilled that, then you are free from the whole thing. Free from the bounds of karma. After that it is akarmani karmaya pashyed. Karmani akarmaya sa buddhiman manusheshu sa krishna karma krat. You'll remember the statement where it is from? Yeah,
Gita,
the Gita, yeah.
Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4.
Yeah. Karmani. That's how it happens. You're free. So this is an important, even though it's Arthavada, it is important. That's why I spent some time on that, okay? So think it over. If there are any questions, clarifications next time? Or we will go ahead, okay? Om Tat Sat. Have a great day. The day is still young. Take care.
Namaskar, sir.
Take care. Nice seeing you, Kamini.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you all. Pranam. Take care.
Swami, in the evening we'll meet, na?
Yeah, evening is there. Yes. Those who want to attend that can attend that.
Yeah. I'll be there.
Yeah.